Hello, everyone. How are you doing tonight, Chris?
Oh, I don't know if I can hear you, Raven.
Oh, can you hear me now?
No, I can't hear you. Weird.
Weird. Can you hear me now?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear her, Gwen?
I can hear both of you, and we were having a glitch earlier with StreamYard, so I apologize.
No worries.
Raven, if you can pop out and let the little bar show you that they can hear you and come back in, that might be solve the problem real quick.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, everybody. This is the second show. Well, the third show of the night, but the second show we've had a glitch, but I call them gremlins because, we do supernatural.
It's talk about your intuitive nature. I just watched that movie with my daughter this weekend.
Really?
I did, yeah. She loved it. I mean, well, kind of, sort of.
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
There we go. Problem solved.
All right. I'm in the back then.
All right. Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Medium Frequency. Hi, Christopher. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I'm good. Tonight we
Good.
have special guest Scott Allen joining us. He is an evidential medium, and I'm looking forward to asking him a lot of questions. And you know him pretty well.
I do.
You do.
I consider him a very close friend, so I'm super excited to have him on.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and bring Scott on up.
Hello there. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I wasn't sure if we were doing a podcast.
No, I can't hear him. Oh, no.
Commercial. I wasn't sure what it was for a minute. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? like a Verizon commercial. How is it?
Can you hear him, Raven?
Yeah, I can hear Scott perfectly.
I can't hear him at all. What the hell's going on?
What's going on? I hear
Maybe
you
if I pop in and out.
Okay.
Yeah. How weird is that?
All right. I'll be right back, guys. You
Sure.
Sounds good. Let's just wait for him to come on back. Hello, Christy. Welcome. See when he pops back in here. Well, I guess I could go ahead and start. Can you hear us, Chris?
say something, Scott.
Howdy doody.
There we go. We're good.
Yay.
Okay.
It's those damn gremlins again. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Oh, look, it's my spiritual parents. Those are my I love them. Hi. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive right in. When did you first realize that you had mediumistic abilities?
It's funny. As I look back on it, I can see signs going back for years. I don't think I really had a handle on it, though, until probably like almost 6 years ago now. It's funny because I knew something was going on and I had no idea what it was. I was sort of guessing maybe there might be a little something psychic happening, but I wasn't really sure. And I had met Chris. We were at the Conjuring House.
That's right.
Back in the day, and he was doing these little mini readings and that kind of thing. Remember that? You were like taking people aside.
Yeah, I was bringing people into the library of the Conjuring House. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you were in the library, and I remember saying to you, like, I don't think I'm psychic, but like something weird's happening, and I didn't really know. It was more than weird at the time, but I just I didn't want to get locked up anywhere, so I didn't really share exactly what was happening. And he said, "Well, why do you think you're not psychic?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I think deep down, I probably did think that, but I never thought medium. Never thought that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, it was like 6 years ago, and then it kind of it unfolded rather quickly for me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that is super cool.
Yeah, it's been great for for you and I, Chris. I mean, Chris and I got close after that. We've traveled together. We've done shows together in South Carolina and in other places, and we've got a big show coming up at the Augusta Civic Center in Maine in March, which should be a lot of fun.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome. And so you've been you're called an evidential medium. So I'd like to understand, how do you define evidential mediumship?
Oh, nice.
I think, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know that there is another. I mean, maybe there's another kind of mediumship. I say that because I feel like when I do a reading, especially when I'm on stage, it really is about the evidence.
Mm.
I'm not so much about just kind of like feeling the vibe. It's really about your dad's here. He says he worked as an engineer. He passed of a heart attack very quickly at the age of 65, and his name was Michael. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. That's evidence,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So to me,
Um,
that's what that is.
Hmm.
are there, let's see here. How do you differentiate? And this has actually been a good question that I've been asked before is how do you differentiate when information is coming from spirit versus like from somebody who's crossed over versus something else?
Mm.
Well, for me, it's mostly, is it somebody that's crossed over or is it me?
Mm.
When I'm doing that type of a work, that type of work, I feel like you get to know yourself, and you have to know who you are before you know who you are not, right?
Mhm.
um and I really think that for me, it could not or should not have entered into my consciousness. So in other words, I use this example. I had an event the other night in Newburyport, Massachusetts, and I said, if I said the word toothpaste, right, you can all picture it. You can pop it up, you can turn the tube around in your mind, you can almost smell what, the minty flavor, you know what it tastes like, right? But if you weren't just thinking about toothpaste, then why did it pop into your head? And for me, that's kind of what it's like. Why is it there? I know
Mm.
that's not me. There's no reason for me to be thinking about this, that, or the other thing. Now, if somebody sat there and told me just before you walked in, my mom's a nurse, and then I start getting a nurse coming through, I would wonder, is it me or is it
Mhm.
them? Because I feel like, and I don't know about you, Chris, but I think that it's almost like they implant a memory
Mhm.
that's not yours in your head.
Yes.
So
Yep.
you have to kind of, at least for me, I have to be really careful about interacting with people ahead of time because I just don't want to hear that stuff because it'll throw me off.
Yeah. I mean, there's been multiple times where you and I have done events together, and you will be off, just kind of sitting by yourself, kind of, being quiet and just kind of getting into the zone almost. It seems, and to that seems like is the reason why, because if you overhear somebody in the audience or something and they're talking about their mom or their father or their brother or whatever, it might influence what you pick up on and maybe hinder the validation that comes through for yourself later on in the reading. Would you say that that's accurate?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, and honestly, it's so funny because, I don't even want to know if let's just say you're Italian, right? Because then I'm thinking, oh my God, I got the woman here who's about 4'4" with meatballs.
Yeah,
Like, what is this? Is it really me or is it just because you told me you're Italian?
that's
So
right.
I don't want to know anything. I just don't want to know anything.
Yep. Yep.
I need the validation. I think that's important for me. I can
Yeah.
go on and ramble, but validation without mediumship without validation is just, to me, imagination. I need people to say, yeah, you're right. You got it. You know what I mean? That is my mom, or I don't understand that at all because, that's really it. It's how you know if you're with one or two. I see them lined up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris. I've been rambling off questions
No,
because I
no,
have a million. Go ahead.
no. That's okay. I'm just kind of curious, Scott, too. Like, obviously we have gotten to know each other quite well over these
Yeah.
last years. But I'm curious about your time as a funeral director. You know, one thing I was always curious about was you said that you kind of felt that there was something going on. Now, was spirit or everything ever coming to you and you just brushed it off? Or were there key moments during your time as a funeral director that really stood out for you that said like, hey, this is really making my brain go a different direction? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I mean, I started working at the funeral home, mowing lawns and doing that kind of stuff when I was 16 years old. And I
Mhm.
remember there was a moment, I was probably like 17, maybe 18 at the time. and there was an unattended death. In fact, I wrote about this in my book. There was an
Mhm.
unattended death, and the police had called and said, "Can you come? The medical examiner wants to just uh, somebody remove this body from the home. There's no family. We don't know. We don't know anything. You know what I mean? Just we need to get him out of the house." And so the guy I worked for said, "Sure," and asked if I wouldn't mind helping him. And I was, at the time, I was like, "Oh, geez, I don't know." Really wasn't my thing back then at the very beginning, but I said, "I'll go with you." And I said, how do they know he's dead? Right? How do they know he's dead? Well, I don't somebody pronounced him, and I'm just getting the grumbles. Just go get your suit on, right? So I went down, I put on the suit, comes down to check on me. And I'm like, geez, do you think maybe the ambulance people would have done it? Like, if the medical examiner's not going there, right? How do they know he's dead? That's what I
Right.
want to know.
Yeah.
It's not my problem. It's not our problem. So he says, all right, I'll pull the car out. He said, just get dressed. I'll pull the car out. I'll meet you outside. So as I'm coming out of the garage, the phone rings, and there's a voice on the other end. It's the Lowell Police Department. We found a breath. Don't come. And that night he did pass away, but it was really it was just a strange coincidence. And there were moments like that. There were other things, but moments like that. Never thought anything about it. Never thought, oh my God, I must be psychic. I never thought that in a million years. But there was always this fascination and curiosity. And I remember being years later, I went with my mother. My mother used to love watching Sylvia Browne and Montel Williams. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah.
So
One of
we
my
went
first.
to the one of the arenas in Boston. I can't think of the name of it. Heinz Convention Center in downtown Boston. She was there. John Holland opened up for her. It was a
Oh,
Hay
wow.
House thing, and she was there, and she's sitting in her chair, and we were right near the front. She came down and she kind of walked around. I think it might have been when she came in, actually. She's saying hi to people, and she's looking, and she says to me, I'm sitting with my mother, and I had to be like my mid-20s. And she looked right at me and she said, "You're psychic," with that raspy kind of
Yeah.
cigarette voice that she had. And I kind of chuckled, and I said to my mother, and she's psycho because there's no chance, right? There's not a
Yeah.
chance of a snowball in hell on a hot day. But there wasn't anything. I mean, I noticed at the funeral home, I would oftentimes think about somebody like, geez, whatever happened to, whomever. And the next day I get a call that they passed.
Mm.
And that happened so many times that people would joke with me, like, don't think about me when I'm gone. Cause I don't, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
the thing. And I built a new funeral home. It was 1998.
Mhm.
And that night it was the night before we opened. I was vacuuming, and we were there just kind of cleaning up and just making sure there was no like construction dust or anything.
Mhm.
So I was vacuuming the hallway, and I look, and there's a woman like peeking in the front door to see, I guess, just checking the place out kind of thing. So I went and I shut off the vacuum, and I went there because I was going to invite her in and just, hey, come in, take a look around.
Mhm.
And when I got there, she was gone. She wasn't in the parking lot. She wasn't on the street. It was like nobody. Now, the interesting thing about that house is evidently about 100 years earlier, a home had burnt down, and it was a big house. It was the sister house to the S.K. Pierce mansion in Gardner, Mass. The big mansion was sitting on that lot, and there's a beautiful granite wall in front, which is why I bought the lot, because I loved the space.
Mhm.
When they were doing the foundational work, they pulled out bottles from like old druggist bottles, pots and pans, and pieces of shoes, and all that kind of stuff. And the people who were doing the work threw it in a box and took it, and we stuck it in the garage, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
And it was after that, like that was the moment. So I would say from 1998 on, I started to become aware of spirit. I never had that before. There were synchronicities and coincidences and all that kind of stuff, but I never really became aware of spirit until then. And then they were coming up and down the stairs. I could hear them. I would be sitting upstairs in my office saying, okay, hello, who's coming in? And there's nobody there. Or I'd go downstairs and I could hear them walking around upstairs. And then it was one of those things where how come every place I go is haunted?
Right.
That's what it felt like. Like, how come everything's haunted? And I don't know about you, Chris, but for me, this isn't something I wasn't running around as a little kid talking to spirits. So they needed to wake me up. Let's just be
Yeah.
honest. That's what it
Yep.
was. And to me, it's like a kid, when you tell them to stop doing something and they don't stop, and you keep getting louder and louder, and finally it's like, knock it off.
Yeah.
That's what it was in
Yep.
reverse. Wake up. And so when I left the funeral home, I had gone with a friend of mine to this haunted. Well, they said it was haunted. It used to be a church rectory, and they tore the church down and sold the building off to the city, and it became a historical museum. And they
Mhm.
said it was haunted. And we went, and I went with a friend of mine who had worked for MIT, and this was not something I ever did. I remember thinking to myself, well, as long as I can run out of the building faster than she can, because she's older than me, I'm good. I just want to be the last one out the door. So I went in, and it was like watching paint dry. I mean, we had pizza, that kind of thing. We're investigating. There was nothing. And we got up to one of the hallways, second or third floor, where the priest's bedroom used to be. And they stood there with a spirit box. And I recorded with whatever I had at the time. And probably my phone, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was. And do you know anybody's name here? And again, not a thing until I got home, and I heard them calling my name, and it was over and over and over and over. And I thought, oh, that's bizarre. So that was sort of the beginning of them knowing who I was. And I remember saying to Julie, I said, Julie, is that normal? She says, I have to be honest. I've heard them say my name like once or twice, but never like this.
Mhm.
Never like this. So they went and it just kept, I went on a few more of those, but it just kept coming. And then it was always the same spirit. It was always a spirit named David.
Yeah.
And then I saw one like at the SK Pierce, and then I asked if it had, if we saw it, and it answered me on the box. I mean, it was just wherever I went. And I'm recording, when I did the podcast, Paranormal Project, I was talking like this, and I would go after the fact and listen, and I could hear them talking to me on the recording. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not normal stuff, like, right? So,
Mhm.
and I didn't tell anybody. At the time, that, yeah, on the TV show we're all on. Yes, that's true, Tom. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Which TV show did you all meet on?
Well, to be honest with you, it was Dark Echoes, and it was kind of a weird thing. I had met the producer. I was looking for someone to video one of my events. I wanted some like film clips, and I didn't know anybody. And I reached out to this guy that I knew, and he recommended him. He said, well, I know he does it, but I don't know if he's available, blah, blah. So the guy came, and we did the event, and he said, oh, I have a TV show, blah, blah, blah. So would you be interested in being on it? I mean, you talk about coincidences, right? So I'll share this little story with you. So he said, would you be interested in being on it? And I said, sure, what the heck, And so he said one of the women that worked with him would reach out to me, and she did, and they set a date for whenever. So I was supposed to go on whatever date it was, and I think it was his cousin, if I'm not mistaken. There was a big fire in their house, and the 4 children all perished in the fire. And it was tragic.
Mhm.
And I didn't know if we were going to do the show at all. But here's the synchronicity, and here's the weird thing, right? So I'm hearing this, and I hear that's my cousin. I'm not going to go, and we're not going to do anything. I don't know what we're going to do. My cousin posts on Facebook that day that he was sad to see the kids burn in the fire, because that was the house he grew up in and his father died in.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like, weird, right? The
That's
same house.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, so we ended up going back, and I was looking for someone, because they said, oh, you have to have someone drive you. And I'm like, it's like, who am I going to get to drive me to wherever we were going? I don't know where we were, Pennsylvania or something. It was way out somewhere, like churches and deer, and I don't know, not much else out there. That was
Yeah.
about it. And so I posted something on Facebook, and I said, I'm looking to go to Pennsylvania. Does anybody want to drive? It's this TV show thing. And Tom volunteered. And I'd never met him before. He says, I'll go. And I said, okay, why not? So we went and we did. We did it. And then we did a few episodes, and I don't remember. I think Stacia had just popped up on the chat here a minute ago.
But yeah, she said that you had a podcast show together at one
Yeah,
point.
we did.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think but that's not how we met. We met through another medium, I think. I don't remember exactly the details of how that all kind of came about. But then she came on the show and did like an episode or two, and then
Nice.
and then we all left, and then we came back, and then we left, and so it's been like, it's like a bouncing ball. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. That's the story, how it was. And then I asked her if she wanted to co-host with me, and she did. And that was
Nice.
it. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah. That was kind of the story of how I met them. But the whole thing with the mediumship and how all of that kind of came together. I mean, that was really it. And some of that was even after I met you. I don't know if Tammy did. I thought it was Greg, to be honest with you, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Yeah. Anyway, something like that. Yeah. So it does, it all started to come together until finally I said, okay, it's like you wave the white flag and say, okay, I give up.
Yeah. Right.
I really, I can't not do it.
Right.
And once I said I will do it, and I was introduced to this woman who lives on Cape Cod. She's a shaman, and she was manager of the one of the metaphysical shops out this way in Massachusetts, and she helped me. And I thought she was a little kooky. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was like, how do you shut this stuff up? And it was not part of my world. It really wasn't.
Right. Yeah.
And it took me a long time to really trust myself, because I always felt like I was making it up.
Yeah.
It's like it's coming. It's not how I thought. I saw the movie Ghost. I saw The Sixth Sense. It's not like that. Not at
Right.
all.
Mhm.
I remember thinking, well, what do mediums really see? I figured they'd were lined up at the grocery store, ask one of the dead people to move so you could grab the Rice Krispies and do the next stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like that at all. It's all just impressions and feelings. And Chris, you probably know too. At first, it was over the top.
Yeah.
It was like very visual. It was like in your face, because that's all you would recognize. It's not so much like that anymore. And people told me it would change. It's very, very subtle and nuanced, and yet in some ways much more refined.
Absolutely.
It's always names and
constantly kind of like you said, evolving and changing. And I like how you put that it's subtle, because it does develop into a subtlety and a nuanced thing. But sometimes it can be in your face at the same time. It's kind of a weird duality that they live in, or dichotomy, I should say. But yeah,
it is. It's fascinating.
Truly.
So with your with the mediumship that you I'm sorry, with the type of mediumship that you do, what are different formats of mediumship that you do? Do you work with with animals? Do you work with helping with removing energies from homes? What could you explain that to me a little?
Yeah. So, I think we all have a mission. We all have we can all be in a room and all be mediums, but have different focuses. And I don't even think I don't even think how we get our message necessarily has to be the same. I've done demonstrations with other mediums, and sometimes I feel really like simpatico in terms of what we're getting. I think Chris and I are actually pretty close in how we get what we get. In terms, I think the evidence and that kind of stuff is pretty similar. But I've worked with other people that it's just different. It's not that they're not getting it; it's just different how they're getting it, and it manifests. It comes out. So I tend not to get a lot of animals, animal stuff. Although I do get them come in on readings, so I'll know that there's a dog here, and he might be a beagle or something, but I'm not having a conversation with the beagle. I had one. There's only one time I can remember, and it was accidental. I was in Pennsylvania, and I was doing a demonstration, and I had a horse come through, and the woman says, "Oh my God, that's my dad." Not the horse. The horse wasn't
The
her.
horse wasn't her dad. Yeah.
No horse wasn't her dad.
Yeah.
It
Right.
was my dad had like 4 race horses, and he used to have them, and we would take care of them. And Lee, how are you? Nice to see you again. That's awesome. It was funny because she says, "Well, which one is it?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I mean, it's like I feel like Wilbur, Mr. Ed. It's holding up
Right.
a horse, But it was at that moment that they showed me the horse, like, excuse the expression, ass over tea kettle, going down the track. And I said, "Oh my God, it was the one that had the accident." She said, "Oh my God, she was a little girl. It was her father or whoever it was, injected the horse with something to make it run faster and had a heart attack on the track while it was running." So that is like the only circumstance that I can even recall where I feel like I got a message from an animal. But I do get them come in all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. I like to ask that question because I work with animals too. So it's
Yeah.
always fun to hear what other people, do with their mediumship.
You know what though, Raven, and I don't know, like you may be able to answer this too. I almost feel as if unless you try it, you don't really know. I mean, I've never tried it. It's not like I don't offer myself out for readings for animals because I've not had any experience with it. It's very
Mhm.
possible if I sat with someone, I'd be able to get something, but I just don't know.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we all have different, like, for example, like I work with people that have crossed over and I work with pets, but there are
Yeah.
certain areas that I don't go into because it's just not I tried it and it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
think you can get in your own head or whatever, or maybe it just isn't your thing. Maybe it's just not your gift to have, whatever that thing is.
Well,
Mhm.
and much to that point too. I mean, we refer to ourselves as psychic mediums. I do too.
Mm.
My page says psychic medium Christopher on it, but I always jokingly say I'm more of a medium than I am a psychic. Do you know what I mean?
I would agree. I mean, I am for me as well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
we develop into what we are meant to do, and mediumship in the form of different things. Like Raven, you have found your niche and your ability to connect with animals as well as people, as well as higher powers and things like that. And like I just think that that's cool that we all have the different avenues that we go down, and different ways that we get there. I don't know. It always fascinates me. The more and more I get into this, and talk to other people that do this work, how obviously we're all the same, but we're all very different in our approach and different in how we do it, I guess. Long story
Absolutely.
short,
And
I have an event coming up beginning of first one of the year in early January with a woman who's a very, very gifted spirit artist. And,
nice.
she draws and the face comes through. Now, I always felt like I've taken spirit art classes as well. But I still feel like unless your mom or dad look like a stick figure, you might not recognize what she looks like. So,
That's me too, man. Yeah.
it's not my gift, I don't think necessarily, but it's something you can kind of practice with.
Yep.
I would love to be able to do that kind of
Yeah.
art. But it's one of those things where, um, that wouldn't be my thing. Christy is definitely a spirit animal photographer, and I think that that is so cool. Like there's different things that can be done. It's fantastic. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah,
I'd love to know what that is, a spirit animal photographer. So not a drawer, you don't draw, you don't paint, you actually take photos and they show up. Is that what that is? Or
yeah, I believe so.
wow.
If I remember correctly, right, Christy? That's her forte, not mine.
Yeah, no, I just find it fascinating. Yeah. I mean,
That
again,
is
it's
very
another
fascinating.
thing, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
all have something that works with us. I just, it's incredible.
Right.
So I gotta pick your brain about something, Scott. I've heard from a lot of people. They say that everybody, and I truly believe this. Every single one of us is a medium. Every single one of us is psychic. I truly believe that. Now, there are some schools of thought to say that only certain people can do mediumship or whatever. My thought process is that like it really just depends on how far you want to dig into it. Like all of us could go to school to become a doctor, right? But it takes a real passion and a real drive to become a doctor, right? Do you find that to be true with mediumship? Like everybody can do it, but only certain people really have the ambition and the goal sets to become professional mediums. You know what I mean?
So I don't know. I feel as though everybody is born with some psychic sense, right?
Sure.
And
Yep.
I will say this, um, like you, right? You can learn to play chopsticks on the piano, but you may not be doing a recital at Carnegie Hall anytime in the near future.
Right.
I
Right.
feel like it's that way with psychic ability, and
Sure.
people can tune in. In fact, I'm running a couple of intuitive workshops. We call it Breakthrough. I'm doing it with 3 other mediums. One woman in Naples. We're doing it at the Naples Grand Beach Resort in March. And then we're in Provincetown at the Provincetown Inn in April with a couple of other mediums from Colorado. And it's not that people who aren't already doing this work or who are mediums can't come. But it's really meant for the lay person to get a grasp on their intuition, right? So,
Very cool.
you
Yep.
know, because I think that is possible. I do think the whole mediumship thing is, for me, it just feels different. I don't know that everybody has that. And, I could be wrong. Like, I don't have all the answers, but
Well, sure. Yeah.
I know people who are light workers, who do Reiki, who do all kinds of interesting stuff, but they can't bring a message through to save their life.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
is it because they're not trained, or is it because they just don't have it? But they'd say, I don't have it. So I don't know how I feel about it. I mean,
That's fair. Yeah.
there probably are people who don't know they have anything, and they do, right? Like I grew up blind, and I'm sure that there are people like that. But I almost feel like you have to kind of have that.
Sure.
It comes back to what we were talking about before. Like Raven communicates with animals, and I might not have that ability, and I just kind of feel like that a little bit, but I might be wrong.
Well, and I mean, to your point, there are some people that can draw stick figures, and there's some people that do the Mona Lisa, right?
Yeah. Bill says you're born with it. I
Yeah.
kind of agree, but I think everybody's born with psychic. I just don't think that everybody's born with mediumship. That's just my take on it. But what the
Yeah.
hell? What do I know?
No, I mean that's why I asked you the question, because I'm interested in your point of view on it.
Yeah, it's just my thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just an extra, just a thing.
Sure.
So,
Chrissy's saying we all have it. I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. I don't know.
so when you
It's
go into different places, how do you protect yourself, or what are suggestions you have for protecting oneself energetically and emotionally? Because we don't always know what we're walking into, of course.
Are you talking about like a paranormal situation or in a reading, like a regular reading?
Well, actually, both would be a good question, I think.
I
Yeah.
have to be honest. I don't do a damn thing. I walk into the haunted place and I'm like, I'm here. It's like, an intention. I've really tried to become good before a reading. I'm just sitting, even if it's just for 5 minutes, calling in the archangels and my guides and, all of that kind of thing to just protect me and help me to stay in the positive energy, the positive light, and help me to bring through messages that for the highest and best good of those people that I'm sitting with.
Yep.
It's really about that for me. But when I go into haunted places, I don't know. I just don't feel like I operate on that level.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been in some very haunted places, other than when we did like the TV show. But I think when you're supposed to do it, you do it. But I remember being on the ship, the Salem, USS Salem.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
With somebody. I don't even know who she was at this point. She was a medium, but oh, are you picking up anything? I'm like, I got nothing. I mean, I've got nothing. I'm not even looking for it. I just feel like I'm not operating in that frequency,
And that could very well be a form of protection in and of itself.
I think so. It's almost as if it was so crazy and out of control for so long that when we locked it down good.
Right.
I mean, it's like not there. I don't want to be and I told him, I mean, don't scare me. I don't want to see you. I don't want to feel, I don't want any of that stuff. Just give me messages. I'll take those. That's it. You
Right.
know?
So
Yeah.
what I'm hearing, and it sounds like to you, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like you set up boundaries around your work and the things that you want to accomplish within mediumship. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, I do readings, I do stage events,
Mhm.
um, and some coaching, and that's it. I don't do a lot of other stuff. You know what I mean? I
Sure.
don't do a lot of
Yep.
other stuff. I don't clear houses, and I'm not interested in any of that stuff. It's really not my thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you believe that spirits retain personality, memories, emotions?
Oh, sure. And I say that from the point of view as a medium, right? Because when they come through, they show us who they were, or else we would not recognize them if we didn't know who they were. But I don't necessarily think that's who they are, because this is just, this is just a meat suit that they wear with all of the faults and foibles and illnesses and all the stuff that we have. But the soul is perfect, right? I mean, the soul is but they have to, it's almost like when I was there, I wasn't a good father, I was an alcoholic, I was, whatever the situation might be. But they're not like that now.
Right. Yep.
The soul is perfect. I feel like it just hops into a classroom for a little bit of time and then
Hmm.
hops back out, you know?
I
I like that.
feel I feel like when spirits our loved ones communicate, they communicate in a way that will understand the format, but they're
Yeah.
still coming from that pure space.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think there has to be a memory of some sort, or else how would they do
Right.
what they do? Why would they even come? If they had no memory of this life,
Well,
why
right.
would they
Yeah.
even come through? Why would they want to talk to anybody?
That's a very good point. That's a very good
Yeah.
point.
Well,
Um,
go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, I I feel like I keep interrupting you. I'm so sorry.
No, it's
Um,
okay.
so we've done obviously many events together, and we've done some really cool. There's been some really cool moments that I have found where that just kind of really shocked me in a lot of ways. But I want to ask you, during a demonstration, regardless whether it was with me or not, can you tell us a story of a moment where you were like, "Holy shit!" Like I did not even expect that to happen, or just something that totally blew your mind as far as what came through. Do you know what I
All
mean?
right, I'll tell you. I don't know. This is just is kind of funny. This was, you were there for this, Chris. You were there for this. It was just hysterical. Do you remember when we were in the Boston Marriott, Peabody, or wherever we were doing the one? There were three of us. There were three mediums.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Doing-
Yeah.
doing-
Yeah.
So I had a woman that was sitting in the front, and I don't remember the whole reading, but her father had come through, and he kept talking about, there was something about pigs, and I'm like, I don't
Oh my
understand
God.
this.
Yes.
Yes. And I said, it's
Oh
pigs.
shit.
I don't know if he grew up on a farm, it had a pig. I mean, I don't know what this is. Could
That's
have had a
right.
piggy bank, maybe collected piggy banks. I don't know. And she's like shaking her head, going, I have no idea. But when when you don't get it, they keep giving it to you and they keep giving
Yes.
it to you and they keep like shoving it in your face. It's like over and over
Yeah.
and over again.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I said to her, I finally said, listen, I know you don't get it, but you're going to, because there's something to do with pigs. He won't leave me alone. And so you you have to remember this, because it'll click. She's like, okay. And people are laughing because it's so stupid, all the other stuff, and what's this with pigs? So we get ready to start the next reading, and this woman, it was her. She goes, oh my God, he does know pigs. And I said, what do you mean he knows? What do you mean he knows pigs? And she says, he was a cop. He knew a lot of pigs. And I almost died. I
That's
almost
right.
died. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of our house in the yard with the name of the plant. Her name was Fern. And it was like, there's a flower name. There's a flower name. What is the flower name? We weren't getting it. Weren't getting it. It was Fern, Okay, it was a plant,
Ah.
not a
Yep.
flower. But it's that funny stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
That's very cool. I
I'll
do
tell you
remember
another
that very
story
well.
too, because this is funny too, and I do tell this story from time to time. We had I was with Karen. We had an event, and it was a dinner show, and there was a young couple sitting. I don't know, they could have been 20s or 30 or whatever they were, sitting in the front at their dinner table, and his dad had died when he was a teenager. His dad was quite young, And his dad came through, and whatever the messages were, we going back and forth, and he showed me what looked like a box with Star Wars all over it. Now, I don't know if it's wrapping paper or if it's a Lego set, or I don't know what it is. So I said to him, how would you understand the Star Wars box? And he looked at me like his eyes are, I said, you understand that? And he went, yeah. And then he got up and he left the room. He walked right out. So the girlfriend like shrugs, or wife or whoever she was, she shrugs and she says, I'll be right back. So she goes after him. I'm like, well, there goes my reading. I'm like, let's take 10-minute intermission. She comes back without him and says, he's not coming back. He knows what the Star Wars box is. I said, you're kidding. I said, what is it? He says, well, she whispers to me, he had a Star Wars box and he used to keep it in his room. That's where he hid his porn. And he didn't know that his dad knew. And I thought, even if he had shown me that, I don't think I would have said it. I don't think I would have said
Right.
it. You just never know where it's going. You just
That's
don't
hilarious.
know.
Yep.
It's funny.
It is
I
fun.
had
That and the pig one was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I had heard you mention earlier that you do galleries. When did you start? Well, actually, when did you start doing galleries? And do you usually I know that you do them with Chris and you do them with other people. Have you ever done a gallery yourself
I
as
do.
well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. And in fact, I made the decision this year to kind of really push through and do more on my own. And I did it for a couple of reasons. One is when I first did the very, very first gallery I did by myself.
Mhm.
And I had no business doing one because I was a nervous wreck. I didn't trust myself enough
Mhm.
to know that they would come through. So I spent a whole lot of time in my head going, oh, please, please, please don't go for coffee, that kind of thing. Like, I need you. Standing in front of like 50 people. So, and then I had a group of women in the back and they were all drunk and they were passing nips around. It was a horror show. I was just like, and I'm like, I'm never doing it again. That's it. I'm done. Right. So, that was probably about 6 years ago. And then it was about another year after that. And then I started doing some again. But I did them with other people. And I can't remember. It was Karen. And I don't remember how I met her. I think she was having an event somewhere in St. Augustine or something. And I signed up for it. And then we started talking. And, I think that's how I met Karen. And then we started doing them together. And it felt like there was safety in numbers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so we started doing more of them. And then I did them with you and, a few other people. And I said, okay, I think I'm ready to go out on my own. I feel confident now, which I didn't feel before. Some of it, Chris, to be perfectly honest with you, is financial. Because, if you sell 100 tickets, and you have another medium, you split it in half, you have a third medium, now you're only getting a third. And I feel like I still have to support a kid. I gotta pay rent. So it was like I've got to do this. I left my regular job last year.
Right.
So it's been
That's
a little bit
right.
over a year. It's been over a year now. But I said I need to really like focus on doing this. And I don't feel the nerves like I did. I don't anymore. I mean, I'm okay getting up there and doing it. I've been doing it long enough now that I trust it. But but I still like working with other people. I like working with you. And I was in Westport, Mass. I had an event and there was another medium there, and she reached out to me later. We should work together. So I'm like, so we have a show together coming up in I think February or something. The point is I do them on my own, but I like working with other people too. I think for me though, it was a safety in numbers kind of thing. Like if I'm having a bad day, there's someone else there to hold me up, and vice versa.
Thank you for sharing. That's actually,
Yeah.
and I can see how it would be nerve wracking. In fact, Chris and I went and saw another dear friend of ours
Yeah.
do a gallery in Marblehead. And
You were in a theater, by the way. Where was
Yeah,
that show? Was it a theater? It looked like the
it
It
picture.
was. Yep.
it was at
It
a
was
theater. It was a cute little theater in
Oh,
Marblehead. They when I had rented the place out, she had 2 shows, and it was very inspiring. I had a wonderful
nice.
time.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
I
Yeah.
yeah,
think we both did. So, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And they had killer pizza. Oh my God.
Right.
Really?
Oh yeah. They had this
It
like
was like
flatbread pizza that was like to die for. Holy shit.
it
That's
was the
awesome.
best pizza ever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really touch pizza anymore because of my heart and stuff,
Oh, jeez.
but that night I had to.
Did
Right.
they like hire her to come in, or was it something like she went and rented the place out?
I
I'm
can't remember the logistical side of how
Yeah.
she got in there, but
Yeah.
I just
it
didn't even
was
know there was a theater there. It's interesting.
it was a
It's a
nice
very
place.
cute
Yeah.
theater.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
It was a
Yeah.
freezing cold night though. Holy cow.
It's been cold, hasn't it?
It was
Yeah.
so cold. We were like running back to the car freezing.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Yeah.
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 So that was
Oh
very
my
cool.
goodness. Um have you ever gotten a message that really made you laugh out loud?
Yeah. Pigs. I think you must
The
have laughed
pigs.
for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's funny. You do get things from time to time. It's just I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, I feel like,
Right. Yeah.
Right.
they know. I said this to somebody recently. When my kid was a baby, he wanted a banana, and I made the worst mistake by like peeling it for him because it was like apocalyptic meltdown. It was ridiculous, because I peeled his banana. And it's sort of funny. You sit and think about it. That's funny. The kid's having a meltdown over a stupid thing like that. And then you're trying to comfort him because he's, having a meltdown, but at the same time you're laughing because it's stupid. I feel like that's how they are with us. It's like, okay, come on now, you don't realize how close we are and how easy it is to get here and how beautiful it is when you cross through. I feel like that. I do. I've come to feel like that. Not that I'm looking to go anywhere anytime soon. I'm not planning on it. You always worry about how, but I feel like that's sometimes why they just keep that sense of humor and they share things to make us laugh because they know,
Hmm. I agree. I
they know
fully
the
agree
whole
with that.
story. I think
Yep.
so.
And I
Yeah.
think that spirit really thrives off of that positive energy of laughter and love and things like that, I really
Well,
think
and
that's
it's
the case.
true. When there is laughter, and I try to keep the audience up, the readings are better.
Yeah.
When
Yep.
you get in there and it's all, doom and gloom and crying and oh my God, everything just tanks.
Hmm. Yep. It's it's funny because like and you saw me do this. I think we were in Shirley and I had everybody go woo.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
just to kind of keep the energy up.
just to
Yeah.
build the momentum up. And it's so funny. I started doing that as because I thought it was funny. To make everybody do the Ric Flair woo before, or during a reading. But like then I just started to realize I'm like, Spirit's having me do this because it really brings the crowd up, like,
It
or like I'll
brings
have people give themselves a round of applause or something like that. But the Ric Flair thing was really just for me.
Yeah.
That was like,
Yeah, but it does. I mean, whatever you can do to kind of break up the staleness of the energy. Even I had a private event the other night at a house, and I told them I sometimes I need to stand up and move around. I cannot sit in a chair and just kind of
oh my goodness, yeah, for sure.
I
Yep.
just can't do it. I have to move into it. So it's funny. Yeah.
So it actually leads me into my next question. Obviously with the I say doom and gloom, but with a very heavily emotional reading, when somebody's really grieving hard and you're coming through this amazing evidence and it's really powerful. How do you, on a personal level, regulate and maintain your own emotional stability in order to deliver the message properly? What's the process for you look like?
I'll tell you, being a funeral director for all those years, I've learned how to it's not that you shut it out, but you can't cry with them. It
Right.
doesn't help you and it doesn't help them. And
Right.
when I was in that business, I had to guide them through step by step by step. You can't cry with them. That's not your job.
Right.
So I kind of have that. still. It
Yep.
doesn't mean it won't bother you, but I've had people come to me with fresh losses, really fresh, and they get a beautiful reading. Other people, I just don't think they're ready, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it doesn't happen. And I feel like that's worse too. I try to be very upfront with people that, I can't just bring somebody in because it's not just about you wanting them. It's about you being ready. And they know whether you're ready or not, and whether they're going to be able to come to and talk to you. It's really about the three of us together as a unit.
Yeah.
Make it
Love
happen.
that. Yep.
That leads me to want to ask, what are some common misconceptions that people have about evidential mediums?
Hmm.
Well, I think that's one of them, that you can just pull anybody out of the cloud, Come on
Yeah.
down.
Mhm.
Well, who do you want to talk to? I'll grab her,
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's one of them. The other one is, a lot of people feel that we just know everything about everybody. We know what your thoughts are. We know who you screwed over. We know that you cheated on your wife. We know that, all of this stuff. And like, I don't know any of that stuff, especially if we're not even meeting for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
If we're sitting and you're trying to get a sense of a relationship or something, I might get some hits on that. But generally speaking, I don't know what anybody's doing. I don't care. I don't want to know. I got my own problems. I don't need to deal with anybody else's.
Totally.
I think you're right. That is a common misconception that people have, that we can like read minds, and
Yeah.
it works differently for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's funny because people will come in and say, can you tell me about my relationship?
Mhm.
Well, the fact that you have to ask me about it already tells me everything I need to know.
Correct.
May not be on the right footing. So, it's psychic readings are okay, but I don't love them. I feel
Mhm.
like there's so much free will that goes into them. And, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of that. I'm not a fortune teller. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. The
Yeah.
strength of mediumship is where you found your calling, and I think that's a great thing. I think it's a beautiful thing.
For me anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have
Raven, you
like
look like you got a question, so I'm going to
I
let
have
you
like a
ask it. Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
I always have a million. Let me think here though, because I had Chris. Do you have another one while I think of the others? Because I had like a whole list I wrote out.
Sure. So I'm just kind of like with with your book,
Yeah.
there's a lot of your personal life in there and a lot of stories like that. Is there anything in there that you did not add that you wished you had?
There's a whole chapter in there that I had written, and somehow it didn't make it in the book. And I have no idea why. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be there. I wrote it. Somehow, when it was sent out, it was omitted, and I don't know why.
Hmm.
There was a story, and I'll just tell it briefly. Always wonder like where this gift came from,
Mhm.
because I never really felt that there was anybody else. My mother and father certainly not at all. But my grandmother would talk about a couple of things. She talked about her godmother, who was a medium,
Hmm.
knew a lot of things, and passed some things down to her. But I never met her. She had died before I was born.
Mhm.
I remember my grandmother telling me when she was a little girl, there was a very, very cold night, and her parents had said to her and her brother that they should sleep in the same room to keep, conserve. I mean, we're talking about the 20s, right? Conserve
Yeah.
heat, shut the door, that kind of thing. So they were sitting on the edge of the bed and they were playing checkers. And she looked up and she saw who she said was Jesus. That was her, that's who she thought it was. And he was blessing her, this kind of thing. And she yelled to her brother and said, Gus, look, look, look. And he says, you're crazy. There's nobody there. There's nobody there. She said he was as real as looking at you or me. I mean, he was like a person right there. And then when she turned back, he was gone. Now, my grandmother was very faithful, privately. You know what I mean? Not like but she had a lot of faith. And they did that night, the house burned down. and they got the kids out of the bedroom just before the floor collapsed into the basement.
Wow. Wow.
So she felt that he was there to protect her. Now, I've heard that story. I heard that story growing up. She told it to me right up until she passed. I mean, if I asked her about it, she'd tell me about it. I mean, it was just one of those things. We all knew the story.
Mhm.
And she's not the type for her hyperbole. She didn't make things up like that,
Yep.
So I believe she had an experience. My question now, years later, and I can't ask her this, obviously, but I don't know too many people that see apparitions at the foot of their bed. I mean, I don't even see apparitions at the foot of my bed.
Right.
Most mediums don't. So is that where it came from? I mean, is there a connection? Her godmother was definitely a medium.
Mhm.
I don't know if she worked it. You know what I mean? I think she just had gifts, but
Right. Yep.
is that where it came from? I don't know the answer to that, but I wonder. And that was the story that was in the book that I left out. It was a story about the fire and all of that. It was a little more involved in that, but
Mhm.
so I think I would have, I wish I had left that in, but because it's sort of, where did this come from kind of thing. That's the
Yeah.
chapter was, where did this come from? I don't know.
Huh. That's cool. That's very fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd ever told me that.
No, maybe not. You know what I mean? It's something I mean, not for any reason. It just isn't on the tip of my tongue all the time. But
Sure.
I,
Yeah.
I wonder now. I never thought it before, but I do wonder now whether
Yeah.
that's what was going on. Yeah.
Neat. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any cases of that in your family? I mean, is there anybody else, or are you it?
For mediumship,
Yeah.
for me personally, and Raven, I'd like to hear what you have to say on this too. But
course.
I'm the only one that I know of. My mom would, she'd say things like, "Oh, your Aunt Sandra's going to call," and then 2 seconds later, ring the phone, and this is before caller ID, and so phone rings and boom, it's Aunt Sandra. Or like, she's like, "Oh, in about 5 minutes, so and so is going to show up at the door, who we hadn't seen in weeks." And sure enough, they knock on the door and they're there. And I'm like, "How do you know this stuff?" Or like, I'd come home and she'd be like, "I know that you did X, Y, and Z." And I'm like, shit. Yeah. How do you know that? Because I'm in such
Yeah.
deep shit right now. You know what I mean? And there'd be no
Yeah.
way for her to really know. But then, when I became a medium, she would always dismiss it.
I know you told me. That's what I thought was funny. But
Yeah. So
I'll tell you, Raven. I wanted to tell Raven, Chris, because when I was just unfolding, it was really early days. Chris had a mediumship demonstration, and I went to it, and I was trying to see if I could pick up on anything anybody, that he was getting. And
Right.
generally speaking, it's not my message to give. I wasn't getting it, but I don't know anything in it, But I did pick up on a woman that was standing sort of to his left, like up in the quote unquote stage area. And she was so real. I mean, I can tell you how she stood, how she leaned on one leg, how she had the cane with the barrettes in the hair and the oxygen tank and the whole bit, right? And so when we were done, and it was almost like, hurry up, I want to walk by or something like that. That was the feeling I was getting. Like, when is this going to be over? Right. Kind of thing. So I didn't pick up on anybody else, but I said to Chris, Chris, while you were up there, I was picking up on this woman, and I described her hair and everything. I mean, he said, that really sounds like my grandmother. Right. And as I'm getting ready to go, and they said, yeah, she says her name's Betty. He was like, that's my grandmother's name. Now, I didn't know anything about anything back then. But it
Yeah.
was so obvious and so real. And so I met your grandmother. I mean, how weird is that, right? Like, I met your
was
grandmother
great.
at
It
one
was
of your
great.
demonstrations, and you were reading everybody else, and I'm just sitting there trying to figure out if I can figure out what you're getting.
That
And
was in the lower deck of the USS
Lord,
Salem.
the ship, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I
And you
remember
didn't
that
pick
very
up on
well.
her. You were picking up on everybody else's stuff, and I
Mhm.
was so keenly aware of her. And sometimes it's not that often anymore, but sometimes I get them just like that. They're so real and so that you can almost describe them, It's amazing.
It is
That
amazing.
is
And
amazing.
that meant a lot to me. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I mean, my pleasure, but I didn't even know what the hell I was doing, to be honest with you. I was just sharing what I was getting, but it was when
Mhm.
everything was starting to unfold, you know?
Yeah, when you dropped her name, I mean, because like everything you had described her, I was like, damn, that's like that is like that's pretty crazy. And then you were like, yeah, she says her name is Betty. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like that's her name. Like that's literally her name. Like what the fuck? And even like I still am baffled about mediumship. I'm constantly
Me
amazed.
too.
You
Me
know,
too.
I'll do a reading for somebody, or somebody will do a reading for me, or whatever. I mean, I don't often get readings. I mean, Raven did a reading for me, and I was mind blown. And it was, I mean, she's amazing. So,
Oh,
anybody
well,
who's
you are
listening or
too.
watching, oh, thank you. Anybody who's listening or watching, please look into these two fine people and get a reading from either one of them, because they're both fantastic, or both. You know, they are both amazing people. And I just want to say too that I am extraordinarily blessed and grateful to have you both in my life. I just want to
Oh,
say
that's
that.
nice, Chris.
I
Well,
feel the same
and
way.
I have to
Jason.
say too, because I want to give credit back where credit is due, because Chris is pretty amazing too. When we were in Charleston last year, we were reading, and we take turns, we go back and forth, and then he brings through this woman, gets a name, describes her as having a grandson who she's like a mother to, and there was a bunch of other stuff that really resonated. And I said, "Oh my God, it's my mother." He brought through my mother. And it was really interesting because at the table next to me, one of the
Mhm.
tables was my mother's first cousin and his wife, who they were very close with, their daughter and her husband, who we were very close with. My son was sitting with them. Obviously, he was the grandson that she was like a mother to. And it threw me off. It took me a little while to kind of recover. I don't mean not like I was crying or anything, but it's like I couldn't like wrap my head around it. I'm up here to work. I'm not up here to get a reading,
Yeah.
but it goes where it's meant to go. And I
Yep.
think that night she came through not not because of them. I think that was the moment. She was very close with them, and my son was there. I don't think I would have been able to, like, I don't think it would have happened to me on my own because I'm too kind of like, you know what I mean? It
Hmm.
had to be for them. And I think it was also for me, but she kind of had to like circumvent me a little bit, I think,
Yeah.
to make it happen.
I do
And
remember that very clearly. And it was funny because you were doing your readings. And
yeah,
as I was sitting there, and I very rarely do this, but I was like, shit, something's coming to me right now. I have to write it down. And I remember writing down like, eight to 10 things.
yeah,
And then and when I got up, I started spouting off what I'd written down. And then you were like, that's me. It's like, oh shit. Like,
right down to
oops.
the hair and everything. It was like, wow, it was beautiful. And so, I want to give credit where credit, is due, because Chris is a fine medium as well.
Thank,
And Chris
thank
has
you.
written two books. I've read one of them so far. Like I read it from like beginning to finish while I was at work. In between
That's
it was one
awesome.
of our slower days during winter season. And so if you all have not read Chris's books, you definitely need to check out I Fucking Knew It. And what was the other one?
The Untrained Medium.
The Untrained Medium. Thank you. That's the first one I
Yeah.
read.
And Scott also has a book that everybody
Yeah.
should check out.
Oh yeah,
In the
Would you
tell
like
us
presence,
to?
about your book.
Yes,
in the
please.
presence of light, right here. That's it. In the
Yep.
presence of light. Yeah. A funeral director's journey from mourning to mediumship. MOURNING. And I'm
And
kind of proud of that too.
where can they get your book?
Oh, it's available everywhere. It's Barnes and Noble, and anywhere you can buy books. It was published through Balboa Press, which is a division of Hay House, so you can get it there as well. But it's literally everywhere. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it in ebook. You can get it anywhere.
Very cool.
And
Yeah.
if people wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I would say that the website is the hub for everything. bostonmedium.com. It's easy to find. And you can find out about all my events. I got a ton of stuff going on, starting the first of the year. And we've got workshops and mediumship demonstrations. You can take a look at my book there. And if you just want to sign up and stay in touch, because if you sign up, you'll get the little like pop up when you go to the website. I'll give you the free gift. I've got a guide that I created. It's an ebook. It's called Making Contact, and it's really basically it's how to prepare yourself for a mediumship reading, and you'll also get the download of my Meet Your Spirit Guide meditation. So that'll come automatically when you sign up for us. So that's like a little freebie, and then you'll be in the loop for anything else that comes along if you want. Whether it's newsletters or event information and all that kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And I do know that you and tell us again when you and Christopher have your event and where it's at and all that
Yeah.
good stuff.
So
again.
it's March 5th at the
Mhm.
Augusta Civic Center in Augusta, Maine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yep, right at the Augusta Civic Center. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to have a band backing us up there. I mean, it's a civic center. I don't know. I think
I
we
know,
need some
right?
music or something.
I won't offer my band services because I don't think it's the right fit, but
No, probably not. Probably not.
I know we're death metal, but we don't need to go, that route.
Right. No.
Yeah.
It is kind of cool. I'm very excited about that, to be honest. I'm very excited about it.
It's far out. I'm still baffled that that's a thing, but we're doing it, man. We're doing it.
We are. We're selling tickets. I mean, it's crazy.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, we're talking about where to. I think we're talking about booking another trip. This time, middle of the country somewhere.
That's gonna be amazing.
Stay tuned. Yeah, stay tuned. We've got some ideas on that too, so that'll be fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, do you have any other questions that you want to ask tonight?
Yep. Just one last thing, and I'd like to ask. I'd like to ask people this just as a final thought. For people that might have been feeling the way you did when you first started, what would be your best advice to them if going forward, and how would you, what would you say to them if they're saying, hey, I think something like you said to me at the Conjuring House, something's going on. I don't really know. I'm meant to do something, but I don't know what it is. What would your best advice be for that person?
Well, first of all, don't think you're crazy. It's definitely plausible. Just trust, but find someone that can help you. Talk to another medium. Take a class if you think that that's what it is. I didn't know what it was at that point. I just knew something was wonky, so I don't think I would have taken a class back then. But just surround yourself with people who get it. There are always going to be people who don't get it. You want to avoid those people. It's just the negative energy isn't worth it. And it's funny because I'll go through Facebook and block people just who are negative. I'm not going to allow that on my feed. In terms of like commenting on my mediumship posts and that kind of stuff, I don't do that. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, they just get blocked and deleted. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what you need to do with this. You need to clear that negative stuff out of your life. And so I would say, don't listen to that. Listen to the people who get you.
Mm-hmm.
And, unless it's mental illness, in which, that's a whole other ball of wax. But generally speaking, you kind of know when it's not that. If, especially if people know you.
Yeah. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Gwen, do you want to go ahead and join us?
Dun, dun, dun. There she is.
Hey, back here listening, loving it. You guys are great all together. So
Awesome. This is a great show. This is an awesome show.
It
Yeah, it was
is.
fun. It was a quick hour. Yeah.
It was, yeah.
If he didn't tell you, we I have to cut a light on here. I'm so sorry. I am sitting in the dark. When we were at Salem Paracon, Raven goes, Gwen, walk over here with me. I want to get Chris to be my co-host. And I was like, let's go. So here we go. We walk up to Chris and he's like that looked like I did something. And we asked.
I was like, oh shit, what'd I do?
Yeah, he was like, oh no. But he had this look on his face. And I felt like he was honored, and just, if he was a girl, he probably would have boo-hooed on us. He probably would have.
Hey, I'm a guy and I almost boo-hooed. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, he did. So you know what? I think they were just meant to be on the show together. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I get to produce it. So yay.
Two good people. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys have been great together too. So Scott, we come back.
I gotta tell you, I don't stay up this late for just anybody. And I said to Chris the other day, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I gotta take caffeine, drink coffee.
That's right. Got the caffeine IV drip.
But yeah, caffeine drip. I know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I'm very grateful that you stayed up with us and you
Me
toughed
too.
it out
Thank
and we
you.
got there. And like you said, it was a quick hour. And I think to me personally, like that is indicative of a great conversation and a
Yes.
great time. Time flies when you're having fun and
It sure
truly
does.
with great people. So I can't thank you enough, Scott. And I know these guys think the same way. So thank you, Scott.
Absolute pleasure. Yeah. Thanks for
Absolutely.
having me. Really been great.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also, I wanted to mention tomorrow is Gwen's birthday.
Oh shit. Okay.
Pop that comment up real
Mhm.
quick and got rid of it. Yeah, it is. It is. And for everybody that has already told me happy birthday, thank you. For those that are going to, because I know everybody loves to pile it in, by the time I wake up in the mornings. Thank you. I appreciate
Should
it.
I
And all
tell
my
you now or should I wait until the morning?
you can, you know what, Chris? I am so overwhelmed by my little Scott. We have a little podcast family. We have the network, and it really is.
Yeah.
We act like family.
That's
We do.
nice.
So I appreciate
Wonderful.
it. Anytime you want to, that's fine. Anytime.
Well, you know what, Gwen? I'm going to tell you happy birthday now. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to say it again. So
Yes, you will. Thank you very much. I
you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, honey.
Birthday
I
to you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. If you, Scott, if you want to hang on a minute, I know you are not used to being up late. If
No,
you
no,
want to
no,
hang
I'm
on a
good.
minute,
I'm
we'll
good.
pipe you down and let them finish out. If not,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say thank you from me.
Been a
Anytime you want
pleasure.
to come back to any of the shows on the network, including these guys, just let me know.
Thank you so much,
We
Gwen.
will
Been a
hook you
pleasure.
up. All
Excellent.
right. You want to tell everybody good night?
Me or
Scott.
you? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good night. Good night, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Awesome.
All right. I'm gonna pull you down and I'm gonna get it,
All
and
right.
you guys just close it out, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, that was a good show.
That was a great show, man. That was a blast.
Yeah. And I hope I didn't interrupt you too many times. I felt like I was interrupting you with a million questions.
No, and vice versa. I was just like, shit. I was like, I got excited, and but I think we did
Yeah,
good. you know,
I think so too. Well, next week we have Rob Cohen, I believe, the pet medium.
Rob Goutreau.
Gucho.
Yeah,
Thank
that's all
you.
right. It's been a Monday. It's all good.
I just got my heart monitor put on today, and I've been packing stuff for our move, so my brain's just been all over the place. But I'm
No
looking forward
worries.
to talking with Rob Gucho.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. I got you.
Absolutely.
That's right.
All right. Well, much thanks to everybody who came into our show today. Our next
Yes,
show
thank you,
is
everybody.
Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for coming in, and good night.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.